From the headquarters of the American Radio Relay League in Newington, Connecticut, this is ARRL Audio News for Friday, February 17th, 2017. This program is produced by the ARRL, the National Association for Amateur Radio, and features news highlights compiled from the ARRL letter, found on the web at arrl.org. I'm Sean Kutzko, KX9X.
And I'm your co-host, Carla Pereira.
In this week's report, ARRLs volunteers provide communication support in the wake of the Oroville, California dam crisis.
The FCC invites comments on ARRL's petition to allocate a new 5 megahertz band.
And the Voice of America Museum will help mark the 75th anniversary of VOA.
Those stories and others, plus Bruce Page, KK5DO, with this week's satellite update, all coming up now.
Hi, I'm ARRL member Tim Price, K8WFL from Wickliffe, Ohio, and you're listening to ARRL Audio News.
Sacramento Valley ARRLs Section Emergency Coordinator Greg Kruckwit, KG6SJT, reported this week that Amateur Radio Emergency Service volunteers actively supported communication for the evacuation and sheltering of nearly 200,000 people living below the damaged Oroville Dam in rural California. The dam on the Feather River east of Oroville is the tallest in the U.S. Following a period of heavy rain, a section of the Earthfill Embankment Dam's spillway eroded, and authorities ordered residents living below the dam to evacuate in case the dam should fail. Crews have been attempting to fill the eroded area with rock transported by helicopter. On February 14th, authorities lifted the mandatory evacuation order, but said it could be reimposed if necessary. Things have really calmed down for now after the mandatory evacuation notice was reduced to an evacuation warning, Kruckwit told ARRL on February 15th. At this time, only the Butte County ARRLs group is deployed to the Chico Fairgrounds to support the Red Cross, possibly through the weekend. Butte County ARRLs EC Dale Anderson, KK6EVX, was called out by the Emergency Operations Center on the evening of February 12th. 6 members of the Butte County ARRLs team have been deployed to the Red Cross evacuation shelter at the Chico Fairgrounds. On February 12th, Yuba Sutter ARRLs EC Steve Sweetman, K6TAZ, opened and managed a net to provide information and gather reports of road closures or problems during the evacuation. The net received reports from radio amateurs who were evacuating. The net also gathered and disseminated information on where evacuees could get fuel, which became a very critical need. The Sacramento County EC Vince Cracchiolo, KI6NHP, was called into the Sacramento County Emergency Operations Center on February 13th as the Red Cross opened a shelter at Cal Expo in Sacramento. All ARRLs groups in the section are on standby if help is needed. So far, the dam is holding and repair work is underway at last report, Kruckwit said.
The FCC has invited comments on the ARRL's January 12th petition for rulemaking to allocate a new secondary contiguous band at 5 megahertz to the amateur service. The League also asked the Commission to keep 4 of the current 5 60-meter channels, one would be within the new band, as well as the current operating rules, including the 100-watt PEP effective radiated power limit. The federal government is the primary user of the 5 megahertz spectrum. The FCC has designated the League's petition as RM11785 and put it on public notice. Comments are due Monday, March 20th. ARRL plans to file comments in support of its petition. The proposed ARRL action would implement a portion of the final acts of World Radio Communication Conference 2015, or WRC-15, that provided for a secondary international allocation of 5351.5 to 5366.5 kilohertz to the amateur service. The FCC has not yet acted to implement other portions of the WRC-15 final acts. The League said in its petition that while the amateur radio community is grateful to the FCC and NTIA for providing some access to the 5 megahertz band, the 5 channels are, simply stated, completely inadequate to accommodate the emergency preparedness needs of the amateur service in this HF frequency range, ARRL said. Access even to the tiny 15 kilohertz wideband adopted at WRC-15 would radically improve the current very limited capacity of the amateur service in the United States to address emergencies and disaster relief, ARRL said.
ARRL Public Relations Committee Chairman Scott Westerman, W9WSW, believes collegiate amateur radio clubs need to blow away the dust and cobwebs and modernize in order to attract new members. And he urges college and university ham radio clubs to seek common technological ground with younger generations in order to attract new amateur radio licensees.
We really need to be thinking in terms of that kind of state-of-the-art technology because that's what the kids are looking for nowadays. The big challenge is how to get them away from their cell phones.
Westerman was interviewed at the 2017 Orlando Hamcation on February 10th through the 12th, which hosted this year's ARRL Southeastern Division Convention. Westerman, a Michigan State University alumnus and executive director of the MSU Alumni Association, said collegiate clubs need to tap into students' interest in parallel technological realms, such as the maker movement or those already experimenting with electronics. Westerman was part of a forum on the ARRL Collegiate Amateur Radio Initiative, which aims to empower and unite college ham radio clubs. A Facebook group has been created to facilitate the CARI activities.
Online, via podcast, and on repeaters throughout North America, you're listening to ARRL Audio News.
Now, with this week's satellite update, here's Bruce Page, KK5DO.
BY-70-1 has been a good FM satellite. However, due to its orbit, it will have re-entered the Earth's atmosphere around press time. The closest prediction is from NICO, PA0DLO, which is February 18th around 0100 UTC, plus or minus 3 hours. It had a short life, having been launched on December 28th last year. NIF-1 was launched on February 15th, a few days ago, and is working. This is a sideband bird, and the uplink is 435.045 through 435.015 megahertz, with a downlink on 145.960 through 145.990 megahertz. Many QSOs have been reported, and most of the comments report that the bird sounds good. Students in the United Arab Emirates built the satellite. The launch on the 15th also had 103 other satellites on board, which turns out to be a record single launch. This is Bruce Page, KK5DO, for the ARRL Audio News.
The High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, or HAARP, in Gakona, Alaska, will soon undertake its first scientific research campaign since the facility was taken over by the University of Alaska Fairbanks Geophysical Institute 18 months ago. Among the investigators is UAF researcher Chris Fallon, KL3WX, who will be working under a National Science Foundation grant. RAPID, a spatiotemporal evolution of radio-induced aurora. Fallon says the HAARP transmissions will take place within the facility's transmitter tuning range of 2.7 to 10 megahertz and should be audible outside of Alaska and may even produce visible effects within the state. Fallon's experiments will take place February 19th through the 22nd. Just which frequencies Fallon will use won't be determined until shortly before he begins his research. Fallon said experiment times and frequencies for his AirGlow and Luxembourg experiments will be updated on his blog and on his Twitter account linked in the blog. He encourages radio amateurs and SWLs to record the events they hear and post reports to social media or email him. Built and operated by the U.S. Air Force until August 2015, HAARP includes a 40-acre grid of antennas and a very high-power array of HF transmitters to conduct ionospheric research. Later this month, scientists will use HAARP to conduct other experiments that will include a study of atmospheric effects on satellite-to-ground communications and over-the-horizon radar experiments.
The Amateur Radio Emergency Service has posted its 2016 annual report. The report focuses on documenting the value that ARRLs provides to the nation, states, and localities in collaboration with partners at all levels. The report features basic data drawn from the Section Emergency Coordinator's reports, a breakdown of ARRLs figures by state and FEMA region, and a challenge for 2017. According to the report, ARRLs membership in 2016 was 27,754, up from 17,756 in 2015, and the service was active in 42 states and U.S. territories. ARRLs volunteers responded to 33,136 events last year. Sharing information about what ARRLs provides at all levels is critical to our work overall, as hard numbers provide better detail about our work, ARRL Emergency Preparedness Manager Mike Corey, KI1U, said. We all need to pitch in to ensure that our contributions are counted, and here at ARRL headquarters, we will be sure to do our part. ARRLs volunteers will see changes in some reporting forms in 2017. All forms, starting in January 2017, have been updated and renumbered. According to the report, 76% of the ARRL sections filed reports for 2016, a significant improvement over past years. The report challenges ARRL section emergency coordinators to raise that number to 85% in 2017.
The International Amateur Radio Union Region 1 Monitoring System newsletter reports a mysterious foghorn. A Chinese over-the-horizon burst radar is now operating in amateur radio bands. We have discovered the mysterious foghorn on 7, 10, and 14 megahertz, the newsletter recounted. This is a Chinese over-the-horizon radar which is often jumping and sounding like a foghorn. The signal is frequency modulation on pulse, or FMOP, with 66.66 sweeps per second bursts. Other intruders include a Russian frequency shift keying signal from Kaliningrad on 7193 kHz and a Russian FSK signal on 7193 kHz. German telecommunications authorities have filed another complaint. The latest IARU-MS newsletter also reports strong splatter from Radio France International on 7205 kHz down to 7186 kHz. The French REF has informed RFI and French telecommunications authorities.
Hi, I'm ARRL member Dave Johnston, KD8BQN of Fort Collins, Colorado, and you're listening to ARRL Audio News.
The 2017 Field Day packet is now available from the ARRL website. Field Day 2017 is June 24th through 25th, always the fourth full weekend in June. There have been no significant rule changes from 2016. The Field Day packet contains everything you or your club will need to succeed in June, including explanations, FAQs, articles from experts, and even a log page template. For more information on Field Day, contact the ARRL contest branch.
And finally, the National Voice of America Museum at the VOA Bethany site in Westchester, Ohio, will join in celebrating the 75th anniversary of the VOA. The Voice of America marked its Diamond Jubilee on February 1st. In 1942, not 2 months after the U.S. officially entered World War II, a live 15-minute shortwave broadcast was transmitted into Germany from a small studio in New York City. Introduced by the Battle Hymn of the Republic, the voice of announcer William Harlan Hale declared, "We bring you voices from America. Today and daily from now on, we shall speak to you about America and the war. The news may be good for us, the news may be bad, but we shall tell you the truth." The men and women who make up the VOA broadcasting system were our journalistic beacons of light during the 20th century, said Ken Reeser, president of the VOA Museum Board. Elmer Davis, John Hausman, Edward R. Murrow, and Robert Bauer all had positions of leadership within the VOA. Today, the VOA is the world's largest international broadcaster, transmitting news and information in 47 languages to 236 million people each week, according to the VOA website. The National VOA Museum of Broadcasting, located in the Art Deco Bethany Station building, houses 3 collections: The Gray History of Wireless Radios, VOA Bethany Station's Voice of America Control Room, and the Media Heritage Cincinnati Museum of Broadcast History. The National VOA Museum of Broadcasting is open on the 3rd Saturday of each month from 1 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. For more information, visit the VOA Museum website.
And that concludes ARRL Audio News for this week. Our thanks to all contributors to this week's report. ARRL Audio News is produced by the American Radio Relay League, the National Association for Amateur Radio. For more information on amateur radio or the ARRL, visit us on the web at arrl.org. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram by searching for ARRL. If you have a question or comment about audio news, email us at audionews@arrl.org. This program is copyright 2017 ARRL, all rights reserved. Until next week, I'm Carla Pereira.
And I'm Sean Kutzko, KX9X 73, and thanks for listening.